Okay, well, we're right at the top of the hour and we're going to go ahead and get started today. Welcome to CSG Medicare Pro Tips monthly team huddle for February. My name is Aaron Matheny. If there's any of you on this call that I have not met, I'm thrilled to have everybody in attendance. Got a nice group here. And I'm super excited to talk about this topic that we're going to get into today. But just a couple housekeeping items. You can, since this is a webinar, you can communicate through the chat or through the Q&A. I'll kind of keep my eye over, glancing over on the right screen of my computer here to make sure I'm answering that along the way. If I don't get to it in the middle, right when you are asking a question, I'll check it out at the end and make sure that I address everything. So with that said, I'm going to introduce our topic. We really had, when I advertised this, we had two topics. One is provider networking, what I call a turnkey program for developing referral streams through networking with providers and other professional offices. And the second topic, which we are not going to get to today. There's so much involved in the doctor's office, other professional office networking, that we're just not going to get to it, but we'll do this for next month in March, and that's retention. We've got a fantastic retention program that's really plug and play, and is something that you can take after next month and implement with your current clients. As we all know, it takes 8 times the cost and energy to get a new client versus retaining the ones that we have. So with that said, I'm going to go to completely away from this screen, which we normally use, and go to, I'm kind of excited to show you this. We're going to go to the Medicare Vault. Okay, so I've talked about the Medicare Vault a lot. It's a work in progress, and there's some strategies that I'm just trying to clean up and make super simple so you can, as I'd see, I've got a little tag on this one, doctor's office approach, and plug and play, so that you can jump into it and just follow the steps and be successful. So let me just make sure, first of all, I want to make sure that everyone can see this, because this is a little different than what I normally share. If somebody can jump on the chat and just say, Aaron, I can see Marketing Vault up in the top left corner. Just want to confirm this because I can see it. Okay, great. Thanks, Joe. Okay. Fantastic. So there's really a lot to this. It sounds simple, and it's not rocket science for sure, but there's a lot to doing this and being successful at it. With that said, I'll tell you that you're only going to have about 10 to 20% of doctor's offices who you visit refer to you. Actually, maybe a little bit more, maybe up to 30 to 40%, but 10 to 20% are going to be the ones that are going to refer to you regularly, every month, every couple months. And don't get discouraged by that. This is something that's I love, because it's something we can control. I can control how many doctor's offices I go visit. I can control a lot of things about this. So I think that's really a nice advantage. And this is something that's trending in the direction of being a very positive and productive, not trending. It's becoming more and more of an opportunity for you. I probably shouldn't have put this section up yet, because you're probably reading ahead and ignoring what I'm saying. But lessons learned, huh? So one of the things that I want to point out to you about this is, let's just talk about the goals. And this is something I've been developing over the past 10 years that I've been doing Medicare. And so my mind just gets excited and it goes one route, and I've tried to organize this in a manner so it's just very straightforward, and concise and goes in an order. But really the goal in this strategy is to create a reciprocal team relationship where we, meaning us and the provider office, are looking out for the patient's interest. And let me expand this a little bit. This isn't just for doctors' offices. This really is for doctors' offices, other professionals like home and auto insurance agents or estate planners or financial planners, anybody that kind of, that touches seniors. So I'll probably continue to refer to this as provider doctor relationships, but just know that it's really an expanded definition. So here's the strategy. First of all, just start off with regular visits, 6 monthly visits, following this proven incremental pattern, then monthly visits or every other month visits thereafter. I'm going to suggest that you make it a goal to visit 100 doctor's offices this month or within the next 4 weeks. A couple other really important strategies, and they seem like, okay, duh, Aaron, you don't need to explain this, but I kind of do. So just when you're going in, don't go in with the attitude that this is the most important part of my day. This one office is so important to me. That's kind of the beauty of this, is you don't know who is going to refer. And so you don't have to be so super invested in one office when you're going to visit 100 offices. And that might seem like a lot. It really is not. And you'll see that as we go forward. But you don't have to be so super invested in every single office. If it's somebody who doesn't, an office that doesn't want to partner with you, doesn't want to let you put your flyers, it's okay. Move on to the next one. Learn something. Maybe there's something you can learn from it, or maybe they're just not into that, and that's okay. I will tell you that about 90 to 95% of the offices that I go into are more than willing to let us put our information in the office. I kind of skipped this one, but again, it's kind of a no-brainer, but be friendly and happy. And I think that can come because it's not so important. When we're first in the Medicare business and we're in a sales situation, we don't have a lot of clients. Every client seems so important because this is really important for me to make this commission after the effort I've gone into finding this person. As you get further and further into the Medicare sales business, it's not going to be as important. You want every person to be a sale, but it's not as critical. With doctor's offices, it doesn't have to be stressful. Everyone that you go to is not going to turn out to be a referring relationship. And that's okay. What I would suggest is that you give them 6 months. And one of the other nice things about this strategy is it's not super expensive, and we can get some co-op for you. And so it shouldn't be a costly thing for you. Another strategy here, just to be really aware of, is just to be patient. That's why I say 6 months. One visit every month for 6 months. Be patient with the office. Some of my best offices have taken a long time to nurture, but now they refer every month. And I'll explain a little bit more about what to look for after those 6 months, after you visited, in offices you might want to drop or offices you want to continue to try to nurture. Another thing, and I'll hit this in more detail in just a minute, but use we language. Use we're partners. You're my partner. We're partners together to help our clients, to help them with their interests, to help them understand their Medicare plans, to help them be on a plan that gives them the most benefits possible, that has a large network, whatever the value is. But we, you, me, and the office, and the doctor's office, that's the partnership. So I just want to tell you this kind of little caveat here, but I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's in marriage and family therapy, which I don't directly use anymore, but sure learned a lot from that. But here's the psychology of this strategy. I had this professor, Robert Cialdini. I think I spelled that wrong. It's C-I. We'll add an I in there. There we go. Robert Cialdini, my favorite class ever. It was social psychology. my favorite class in any of my coursework. But it was just really, really interesting, the social psychology class. He took a sabbatical, so a year off to go do research, and he sold cars. He was trying to figure out how you get people to say yes, how you can influence people and get them to say yes. And what he determined after that year-long sabbatical, he worked selling cars. I think he worked a couple other places that were more sales typey situations. And he determined that if you can get somebody to say yes 2 to 3 times, that the likelihood they'll say yes to a more firm question, to a more sales question, after they've already said yes 2 to 3 times, goes up, it skyrockets. The percentage of people that say yes after already having said yes a couple times is a big deal. Now, did I take this and use that strategy in going in my very first doctor's office? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that stood out to me with almost anything else that I learned in my undergraduate and graduate coursework. But these are 3-4 things that you can do before you're just very soft. You're not getting in somebody's face. You're not asking them to do much. But, can I give you some cookies? Who's going to say no to that? Right? So cookies are really the secret to this strategy. And there's a lot of secrets to this. But if you don't take cookies, that's fine. You're just going to fail. No, I'm joking. You won't fail. But taking something to them really, really helps. A lot of my offices just know me as a cookie guy. I think if they struggle, they probably could remember my name, but I don't care. They refer to me. So can I give you cookies? There's a yes. Do you mind if I leave some flyers in your lobby here? That's not a big ask. Okay, yes, that's fine. Next time I come back, I might say, we're in the middle of another open enrollment period. You might not have known this, but can I tell you about it? Can I give you some information? Yes. So that I've had 3 times where I've asked them a question, basically, directly and indirectly. And then I'll start to ask some more firm questions like, hey, I know that you refer folks, you have folks you could refer to me, you could use my help. When you see somebody, could you have them give me a call? And there's better ways of phrasing that, and it's a more strategic way, and I'll explain that more in a minute. So let's see. Paul Rose, hey, thanks for joining for a few minutes, Paul. Camber had a comment. Camber from my office has done some of this networking, and she commented in the chat, yes, cookies definitely help, with a big open mouth smiley face, ready to eat a cookie, it looks like. So anyway, this strategy, again, is just a numbers game. And again, the beauty of it, that you have got 100% control over getting in front of people. Their reactions, you don't have the control of that. And we can have more control as we build that relationship, as we build that partnership, build that we mantra, if you will, with these offices. But you've got 100% control over that. 10 to 20% will refer to you over time. It's not going to happen immediately. Some will happen very quickly. Some might take 3, 4, 6, 8 months. But it's just a little tiny bit of your time to go. And I've got a very organized pattern. I'll show you how to do that. So if you visited 100 offices for 6 months, you're going to have 10 to 20 referring offices, mostly later toward those, 4 to 6 months. And it might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more, but that's what I'm seeing in the averages. You of those 100 doctor's offices, after about 6 months, you're going to want to whittle out some of the ones that are not producing and you don't think are going to produce. And we'll talk more about what that looks like, what an office that probably won't produce looks like versus an office that has potential. A lot of this, and we'll go into this more in detail as well, but a lot of this is dependent on the front office staff. and there is turnover in the front office staff. And so you're being there regularly, and you're being educational to them is super helpful. You might have an office that you think has fantastic potential, but the front office girl who checks their Medicare card and finds it, looks at, see that plan, she's just not into it. Well, there's a lot of turnover. What if that person leaves? You get a firecracker in there, and they're referring lots to you. So you'll want to drop after a time period, maybe 6 months. You want to start to drop some of the ones that you know aren't going to refer, and add new ones. So my suggestion for a goal for you is 100 offices continue that you're hitting every month. So here's what you can expect. Literally, I mean, that first visit in the office, you might be there for 2 minutes. You might be there for a minute. And we'll talk, I'll spell this out, what that visit looks like, but it doesn't take you long. So you could really hit 30 offices or more per day if you're a hustler, but you're not going to stay in the office very long, unless the office, as I say here, engages with you and really is asking for more details. Then maybe 6 minutes you're going to be there, but it's still not a lot of time that you're going to be in each office each time. And that's okay. That's on purpose. Doctors' offices are busy, and you're not going to always catch them at a time when they can chitty chat with you. In fact, I wouldn't expect that. I would expect that you just touch base with the person who's kind of the decision maker or the referrer, and then that's the person you're going back to and visiting with regularly. Okay, so 3 days a month will for sure get you your 100 offices visited. Okay, so here's some important keys. Before I go into that, I just want to check the chat here. Okay, thanks for the support in that, Paul. If you're not looking at your chat, Paul's got some great comments here. Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so some important keys to know here. You will want to visit each of these new offices once a month for 6 months. It could be 3 weeks apart. You could do a little more closely together, but 6 visits is the key to at least go regularly in every month or every 3 weeks or whatever. And then you'll want to, like I said, whittle out some of your doctor's offices. And then from there, after the 6 months with those doctor's offices, you may only want to go, you might still want to go every month. You sure could. Or you may want to kind of ratchet it back a little bit and go every 2 months. And you just will need to fill that out and see what feels right in continuing that relationship. They might need a little bit more. They might need 6 or 8 months or a year, or maybe you just decide. I mean, I did that for a long, long time, every month for a couple of years. The other thing that's really important, as I mentioned before, is you need to gauge the room. You need to look at the office. If they've got a crowded office, a lot of people waiting, overworked staff, which is a reality these days, then you probably want to make it a shorter visit. If there's nobody in the office and the staff don't seem super engaged in something they can't take a quick break from, or they're a little chitty chatty with you, then take a little more time. Again, I'm not talking about 15 minutes, but maybe it's 3 or 4 minutes. And that's when you can have some other messages besides the regulated ones that you can share or ask some questions or just get to know them. Another really important key is to be talking to the right person. You might not know that. You probably won't know that right when you walk in. But when I walk in, I first ask, I say, here's my spiel. I say, my name is Aaron Matheny. I help people with Medicare plans. I like to partner with doctor's offices. Is your office manager available? And the person sitting there might be the office manager. Well, that's me, or we don't have one. I kind of manage the office. But when the office manager comes out, or if it's that person, then you continue that. I help people with Medicare plans. I like to partner with doctors' offices. And the funny thing, and a lot of you have heard me say this, I walk in with some flyers in a flyer stand, some business cards in my pocket, and a tub of Trader Joe's cookies under my arm. I love this. So hilarious. It's my favorite. But as I'm having this short conversation, they're looking at me, they're looking at the cookies. They're looking at me, they're looking at the cookies. And so, again, my spiel with the cookie tub underneath my one arm, flyers in the other hand. And would you mind if I left these flyers in your office over here in the lobby someplace? And as I mentioned, 90 to 95% of offices are going to say yes. And so they say, sure, go put it over there. I go put it over there. Oh, by the way, these cookies are for you. They knew it, right? But it's fun to hold on to them until the end. I like that. And it keeps their attention. So I'll also give them some business cards. And I'll say, here's some of my cards. If you have questions about Medicare, or if you have anybody that does, please have them give me a call. I'm not pushy. I'm not going to try to change their plans if it's not going to be a benefit for them. But I'll just ask them questions. And if it's just a question about Medicare in general, I'm happy to just answer it for them. So potential office contacts. It could be the office manager. It almost never is the doctor. In fact, most of the places I've been at, I've not met the doctor. It could be somebody, it could be somebody in billing. It could be the front office receptionist. You have to think about who is going to know, who's going to notice the insurance that they have. It could be any of these. Could be the office manager. Probably most likely is the front office receptionist who greets, looks at their card, and the billing specialist. Okay, so let's move on to preparation. And I'm taking the whole hour to talk about this because there's a lot of little details. Now you'll have access to this. Again, this is the marketing vault, and I'll get you access to this shortly. So you don't have to take notes. It's right here. This is one of the things that I really feel like I can do to add value to you, as I've been successful in, particularly in this strategy, just getting everything out of my brain, putting it someplace where you can look at it and review it and then act on it, is really the value that I think I add to you guys on this. So preparation, materials that you'll need, plenty of business cards. I mean, order 1,000 business cards. You'll get a cheaper price per card that way as well. But every time I go, I'm leaving a centimeter's worth of cards at least to the office. I'm always asking them on every subsequent visit is, do you still have some cards? Do you need some more cards? If you're going to do cookies or some other treat or some origami craft you've done I don't know, whatever you choose. But I like the cookies. It's $4 for a bucket of cookies. And so, spending $400 on cookies a month, you're going to recoup that in one sale. So it's not bad. I would also make sure you tape your card to every lid. You don't want to give cookies and have multiple people coming back and taking cookies and not knowing who it's from. Okay, you want to print 1 to 2 flyers, depending on what kind of flyer stand you might be taking. And I look for the most appealing flyers in the area. So just as an example, depending on the area, it might be WellCare's $4,000 dental benefit. In 2021, they had a fantastic flyer, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a flyer that just pops. And they had one. It was orange, had this little fuzzy orange guy, if you remember that. And then it had right in big letters across the top of the flyer, $4,000 dental. Their flyers this year aren't as impressive, but here's another plan, depending on the county that you're working in. Devoted has a $3,000 or $5,000 plan for dental benefits. Nice plan in some areas, fantastic. And for people that need the dental, I don't know if how many of you remember this, but Paul, I can't remember his name, from Deft and I even forget what it was, but Paul has them at WAPCON every year. And he gives us information about the trends and things like that. And he said, people are making more and more, they're making decisions about their plan based on the dental. So why don't we use that? We should be using that in the flyers that we're putting out, just to get people's attention. United Healthcare PPO plan, another great option. And WAP, I know Paul would raise his hand unanimously with me just to say this, they'll print your flyers for you. So print, if you're going to put a bunch of flyers in a stand, then print a bunch of them. Print as many as you think you'll need for whether it's 500 or 700. Maybe start with 500, but they'll print them for you, no cost. They're fantastic that way. Okay, next thing in these steps is to order flyer stands. There's different types of flyer stands, and you can just decide on what you prefer. We mostly do this 2-tiered flyer stand. So it's got 2 flyers that are magazines, it's got, I guess, made for either, that can sit one kind of tiered into the next, so you can see both. You can see both flyers. And I like to get the flyer stands that have the card holder, my business card holder, in it as well. And so you could guess around maybe $12 to $14, $15 per stand. And that could be part of your major cost. That could be something that we could look out for co-op. The kind of the middle ground is a single flyer stand. Again, I like the card holder in those. You could look around $8. And if you're buying them in bulk, you're probably gonna get them cheaper as well. And then the least expensive is just and this is, I probably have one in my office. I should have brought it in to show you, but it's just a kind of 2 plexiglass things. It's connected to the top, and it kind of pulls apart. It's got 2 little wings on the side that make it stand up, and you just slide one single flyer up in there, and you can totally use that. That's fine. I kind of like them walking away with a flyer, a little better reminder of what they were interested in. But in that, if you're choosing that just single upright stand, then I would get the one with the cards in it. I'm sorry, the card holder in it. Another really important key here is you're going to find stand thieves, whether it's the offices or other agents. So that's one important reason to go back regularly. But just take one of your cards and find a spot. Maybe it's it's right behind all of your cards. You can just tape one business card permanently to that. Packing tape, I like using packing tape, but put that on there so people know, okay, that's Aaron's or Suzette's or Camber's or Jacob's. That's his flyer stand, because they're not cheap and you don't want to lose them. You will lose some, but that's just kind of cost of business. Okay, other important things to order or print is, and I'm going to get to this. I'll show you this and we can modify it for you. But common Medicare referral scenarios, really, really important. But you want to print those soon so you have them ready for you by the time you hit your 2nd or 3rd visit. And secondly, we can give professionals up to $100 of a gift card for referring somebody. And so I don't feel like we need to do that. We can get away with $25. And so we do that. And we have people that aren't referring for that reason, but when they refer 3 or 4 people or 20 people during AEP, and they get a nice little, bucket of cards, then they're happy about that. Okay, so another prep stage is to map out your offices and your route. So what I would do in starting with this is I pick a popular plan. I would pick maybe a D-SNP plan, because if the doctor's office takes a D-SNP plan, the Access Medicare, or for other states, Medicaid Medicare plans, they're most likely going to take most of the MAPD plans. So you'll do a provider search, target the area that you're wanting to go to, and you use a Google map. And I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like. All right, here we go. So I'm going to share this screen here. Yep, hold on a second. There we go. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so I picked United Healthcare, their dual plan, and when you get onto their provider search, and I just have a lot of my tags here, but here's my United Healthcare MAPD plans. So I'm going to target Buckeye, Arizona. Okay, so you type that in. You can type in a zip code as well. And then I'm going to pick the plan. So I'm going to go down here to, let me know if you can't see that. I think I shared that right. But somebody throw in the chat that they can see this. I don't want you to miss the process here. So I'm going to go down to the dual complete plan. Just checking the chat. Okay. I'm going to assume you can see it because I'm not seeing any hands going up. So I'm going to go down to the type of plan, and I want to go to primary care doctors. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to choose all primary care doctors. And then it's going to bring up results. So near Buckeye, it brought over 1,100 results. So I'm going to narrow that in. And I'm going to go to 2 miles, within a 2-mile radius of that. So it's still 40. Okay, 40 is manageable. I can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy. So I'm just going to highlight this. Well, I'm going to find the ones I want to go to. There's probably going to be a lot of repeats at the same office, so beware of that. But I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to switch. Okay, let me find my other window here where I've got my Google Map. There we go. Okay, so let me switch my share here to Google Map. Okay, so you should see the Google Map here. And once you get into Google Maps, I'm just going to click over on the menu button over here. And I'm going to, actually, sorry, not going to do that. I'm going to just add that. So right click, paste, and I've got my address there. So once you're there, you're going to go to, sorry, I'm going to hit directions, go to my first place that I've identified. Okay, so I got one doctor's office there. The next thing I'm going to do is just add more offices. So you can add a destination here. So add destination, and then I can copy and paste more destinations. Now I've already got an office here. I've already done that. And I just wanted to show you how this works to be able to sort them if you haven't done this before. So I'm going to close that. And you still should be able to see this one that I've already pre-populated. If you can't, please send me a chat that you can't see that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you should be able to see that, and that's going to show all of these offices. I think there's 5 or 6 that I added there. So one of the cool things about Google Maps is you can modify. So if you see these blue squiggly lines, it's put them in an order where it's going to send me from this 23374 West Yuma address, and it's going to send me down over here to Arizona 85. And then it's going to send me back, and it's going to hit me here, and it's going to send me down over here. So what you can do easily, just watch what I'm doing over here. So I'm going to drop, and it might be some trial and error. I'm going to drop this down here, and see how that changes. Okay, so it's still a little bit backwards, but maybe I drop it to the bottom and see what happens. And this is kind of an awkward little, there we go. So it's put me in a line. It's sending me these top here, down to this one, down to that one, and then hop on the freeway and I'm headed home. So again, I'm recording this. If you go back and say, I don't remember how Aaron explained it, you'll have a recording of this and you can watch it. Or if you have questions, I'm happy to walk you through that as well. Okay, so let's go back to there we go. All right, so back to the strategy here. Okay, so that's this step is identifying offices you want to go visit and map out a route for that. And the next thing, well, as you're choosing doctor's offices, this is important. I would start with primary care doctors, dentists that take the plans, audiologists, hearing doctors. Now, why would I say dentist and audiologist? Well, they're great partners because they serve to benefit when you enroll people in the plans that they get, you know, $3,000 of hearing benefits or $5,000 or $4,000 of dental benefits. And my suggestion is to find dentists and audiologists that serve a high proportion, a high amount of those who qualify for those benefits, a lot of D-SNP folks. So the reason being is if you find somebody that takes the D-SNP plans but doesn't really like them, they're probably not going to be a long-term, you know, good partner for you because they haven't mastered the process. For an office that has mastered the process and does a lot of working with these D-SNP folks, they're going to be a better partner for you. I wouldn't turn the other ones away, but just know that they might not be as top referrer as you might hope they would be. Okay, beyond those tier 1, you can see tier 2, in my opinion, other specialists, optometrists, chiropractors, podiatrists, who all have benefits that are covered by the plan more than a normal plan might. And then again, as I mentioned before, here's a list of other places, home and auto insurance agents, tax preparers, financial planners, estate planning attorneys, disability attorneys. I think can be a nice opportunity there. Find the right one. Thrift shops, food banks, senior centers, you know, things like that. One of the other things that I would do is watch for, just as you're driving along the road, watch for offices that you think might serve seniors. And also don't forget about who's your doctor, who's your home auto insurance agent, who do you work with that you could integrate into this strategy, or at least ask for referrals if you know them well. So here's another strategy that you can use as you have sales. Ask what your doctors, well, you're going to obviously ask what doctor they see, but ask for their permission, your client's permission to go visit the doctor and just say, hey, I just helped, Lucy enroll in this plan. She said it was okay if I just came by and introduced myself, but I help people on Medicare plans. I'd like to partner with your offices if that's okay. But when they've got a kind of a hot lead or a hot person they know, one of their clients, one of their patients, that you've got in common with them, I think it's more likelihood that you're going to have a good referring relationship there. Again, some of the wording here, some of the phrasing, and you can modify that however you want. Don't worry about writing that down. You'll have access to this. One of the things you may want to do is to preemptively kind of pay it forwardly, give an Amazon card up front for an office that you think is really promising. I mean, $25 to maybe grease the wheels a little bit for that referring relationship. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so we're going to next go into the 5 main visits in this order. And they don't have to be in this order. The first couple should, but I wouldn't jump into them too quickly unless an office is just really on board and excited about it. But you can modify these a little bit and adjust how they work. But it's going to be these 5 main ones. And then every visit after those 5, you're going to have something else that you're going to want to share, or maybe you don't. Maybe you take a break on sharing something, just depending on. Okay, so first visit is your introduction. Leave the flyers, cards, cookies. Every visit after the first one, though, you should make sure that you're refilling the flyers. You'll find that they could get messed up or out of order. You're also going to find that people put magazines in front of your flyers, or that you might find somebody else's flyers in there. And that's why it's important to go back regularly. You're going to ask the office if they could use some more cards. You're going to take some cookies. So every visit, this is what I do. Now, on that very first visit, again, I kind of spilled it out for you. My name's Billy Bob. I help you with Medicare. I partner with doctors' offices to help patients get the benefits they most need. Do you mind if I left your flyer stand in the lobby? Even if you just memorize that, that's it. That's pretty much it the first time. I've had agents that have gone out with me after me explaining this ad nauseum, and they say, I'm just nervous. And I say, okay, map out, and I'll go out with any of you that want to go do it. But map out 6 to 10 offices, and we'll go do them together. After the first office, they're saying, oh, is that it? Yeah, that's it. So I'm giving you the script here, the secret sauce, and it's all of, a couple sentences. But really your goal in this first visit is to just get passive agreement. Just get that first little yes, that's fine. Because again, that's going to lead to, a couple more yeses that you might, hey, can I give you some cookies? I always say it that way. Can I give you some cookies? Yes, there's 2 yeses. And then the important thing, this is in this visit, but in all future visits, is to remember to use these words to promote that reciprocal relationship, to promote you working together with them as a team. My first visit, I'm saying I like to partner with doctors' offices. Right? Now, we're not going into business together, but we're partnering together to help people get the benefits they need. That's a good word to use. Helping, you just using the terms helping patients or together, things like that. And you'll come up with a lot of other ones. But that's important to make that connectivity between you and the office. These are all very subtle things, but the more efficiently, more effectively you do these little things, the faster you're going to get referrals. So that's why it's important. Also, recognize their world. You're entering their world, the medical field or home and auto insurance agent or whoever, but recognize how they call their clients. We call them clients. I do. Sometimes we call them members, but they call their clients patients. So that's the wording you want to use. If you're going to a home and auto insurance shop, you're not going to use the word patients. You're going to use your clients, right? So just know that you're going to be flexible on that, but use the terms that they use. And that's another way you can be together. They see you as a team members. They don't see you as so distant that you're calling their patients their clients. This doesn't make sense. Okay, so here's what to do. And again, I plug this in the very first visit for details on here, but here's what you're going to do if you see other flyers, other agents' flyers in the office. If you notice they're there, I would just still go up and talk to whoever and give your pitch. They might say, well, we already have somebody we work with, and that's fine. Say, oh yeah, no worries. Then I guess you either get to choose whether you leave the cookies or not. I guess it depends. I probably wouldn't, but you can if you wish. But continue your pitch, continue your conversation with them until they tell you no. Again, the passive agreement. But if they don't say no after you give a pitch and you noticed another agent's flyer in the lobby, then you might just say, I noticed this other agent has their flyers in the lobby here, how long has it been since you've seen this agent? If it's been, and I've spelled it out here, right here for you. If it's been the last 4 months, then say, I don't want to step on any toes. If you're happy with the help that they're giving you, then I don't want to make things complicated or something like that. It doesn't have to be that exactly, but those sentiments. If it's been more than 4 to 6 months, I'd say, I don't want to step on any toes, but your office and patients may benefit from an agent that's more attentive. Would you mind if I either replace their flyers or put my flyers out in the lobby? Maybe you say, would you mind if I replace their flyers? Those are actually 2021 flyers, by the way, which we're not supposed to be out anymore, which is true. So you might say, those really should come down. But again, get the feel. You don't want to try to have the I'm taking over the world mentality, but you want to be in there. You want and say, I'd love to be your partner in all this and help your clients and help you guys with questions. Okay, so that's visit 1. Visit 2 is this common referral scenario magnet. And I've got on a magnet. We've got the copy of this, and so we can make it however you want it. But here's what it looks like in real time. Oh, it's not showing up because I got my background blurred. It's just focusing on me. But anyway, that's what it looks like. It's not blue, it's white. But this is gold. This is really, really helpful. So that next visit, I'm going to go, hi, Jill. Hey, it's nice to see you again. Hope you enjoy those cookies. Oh, by the way, here's some more for you. I just refilled my flyers there, but just wanted to point something out to you and give you something. So I know it can be confusing. Medicare is confusing. And many times the consumers, your patients, don't know that they might qualify for some enrollment period that will let them change plans or enroll in a plan. And so what I've done is I've created this, and this is for you, Jill. This is for you in your office. It's on a magnet here. You can put it up on your filing cabinet right there next to your computer and just review occasionally. And if you see people that fall in these categories, like as you're checking somebody in and you recognize they're turning 65 in the next 6 months, or they're just giving you a Medicare only card, then you can be sure that they could benefit from a secondary plan, one that might not cost them anything, but give them extra dental, vision, hearing benefits. So you can go on a little bit about this. But basically your goal is just to try to give this to them, have them put in a place that they'll remember it, and tell them this is for you. Because I've had people giving them out to patients, and I'm like, no, those are for you. Here's another one. Don't give this one away. So you can see the different scenarios that we've got here. Now, you see at the bottom, I don't read this the very first time, so I'm going to save that for the third visit. You could consolidate it if you wanted, but I like to just give little bits and pieces. But preferred method of referring is a compliant fax form that you can fill out with the patient's permission. I'll get to that in a minute. But I usually don't go over that. I just want them to digest the card, this card here. And we give a $25, and by the way, Jill, you can see down here in orange, we give a $25 Amazon card when somebody enrolls in a plan. And just so you know, I just dropped off 4 cards to an office in, I would say, in a different city. Don't say the same city, but I just dropped it off in Prescott versus Kingman or something to an office that had sent some folks over. And by the way, those consumers, those patients were really happy. So that gets their attention as well. So again, this one isn't rocket science. You're just trying to get their attention for a minute or two, explain that to them. If there's more people in the office that could benefit, you say, is there other people that could benefit from this? Somebody billing or your office manager or somebody, then you want them to have it. Just like your cards, that should just flow like, I don't know, what does flow like, candy? I don't know, flows like whatever, but you want to give those out so that it just increases opportunities. And again, we'll have a customizable version, or we might just, we'll have a version you can customize that and show you how. We just go to Vistaprint and print them off. And this magnet is not. You can see kind of the size of it compared to, my hand. It's, I don't know, 3x5, something like that. Okay, let me look at our time here. I just want to also check the chat, see if I missed anything. Okay, boy, I hope I missed a chat a little bit ago. Can you guys see this screen that I'm on, which is the common Medicare referral scenario? Can somebody just pipe in? Yes, okay. Boy, I hope I got that up. I didn't miss you on any of those. Okay, so just to tidy up here, and you can see why I've taken the whole hour, because there's a lot of details in this. Okay, so the next document that I'm going to talk about with them is, the next time I go, I'm going to say this. I appreciate you having given my cards out to patients that you think could use my help. I've received calls. I thank you so much. And that's a good lie. Sometimes if you haven't gotten calls, I would still say it because they could have picked up the cards in the lobby or wherever. You want to make them feel like they've already contributed and been a partner with you. But one of the things so you'd say that, and then one of the things I found in doing this for quite some time is that a very small percentage of people who either pick up a card or have been given a business card call me. A very small percentage actually call me. In many cases, they're either losing the card or forgetting to call. And that's just, it's just the nature of it. I've got a very effective way that I've found to get in contact with patients that need my help. And it's by having your office use this Medicare compliant permission to call card that's embedded in my personal fax form. And if you think somebody could use my help, you can either fill this out for them with their permission. If you're on the phone, you can fill it out for them, or you can have them fill it out, and then you fax or email it right back to me. It keeps it in our hands. There's that "our" word again, right? It keeps it in our hands that we can get in touch with them and answer their questions and help them out. So again, I would work through, I think the way I've worded that works pretty well. So if you want to change the wording, fine, go ahead and do it. But I would practice these things. These are not complicated scripts, but I would practice them out loud, practice them on your family, practice them on your business partners. I don't know, practice them on whoever. But you're going to feel a lot more confident if you practice. And again, they're not difficult. This is probably the longest one that you might want to memorize, but just practice it. And then I give them a centimeter thick stack of these forms. You don't want to have them be responsible for printing these. So I would always have, when you go back to offices, I'd always have some of these forms with you. And so you can, and I in fact, I print about 500 off every time I go on my monthly trip, and I give almost all of them away. So what this form looks like, again, let me know if you can see this. You should be able to. I'll stop that share and I'll add it just to make sure you got it. Okay, so you should be able to see this for sure now, but this, and we can customize, we'll get you a form that you can customize with your own information. By the way, when you're explaining this card, you'll want to make sure to bring to their attention, make sure and fill this out up in this top right corner, because that is how I know who referred people to me. And so you can fill whatever this part out you want. Just make sure their name, their phone number, email address if they want to be contacted that way. So again, super easy. Take a big stack, print a bunch of those out, and you'll be set to go. Okay, let me go back to the screen. All right, there we go. So that's the permission to fax, permission to call fax form. Again, this is again, there's a few things that are a secret sauce. This is a secret sauce. You're going to get substantially more referrals this way than you will any other way, working with doctors' offices. Very, very effective, very effective. In fact, I incentivize, I show down here, I incentivize an extra $15 Amazon card if they use this. And I tell them that every time I go, I tell them that. And by the way, if you use this fax form, I'll give you an extra, and they sign up for a plan, I'll give you an extra $15. So after AEP, one of our top doctor's offices, I think I gave them cards worth about $500, $500 to $600. And almost all of those were through this fax form. Okay, this is something that you can intersperse between different visits. This is something you should also be in a habit of doing. You don't, like I said, you don't always have to go with a message or something on your agenda, but giving little educational tidbits are very helpful. I actually think I'm gonna modify this, but I think I've saved that up here in this area under doctor's office walk-in approach. So OEP is huge. If I was walking in a doctor's office today, I would say, by the way, I don't know if, I'm sure you don't know this because most people don't, consumers, even people in the doctor's offices, even a lot of Medicare people don't talk a lot about it. But we're in another open enrollment period. With doctors, I'm taking a side here. I always call, how am I trying to say this? You found, I'm sure, that it's difficult to differentiate between OEP, AEP, and people call everything open enrollment, right? So I just say this is another open enrollment period from January to March where people can change plans. It could be because they didn't change, they forgot to, or they were sick and they couldn't change during the fall open enrollment period. Or it could be that they changed and they're not happy with it. But people right now can change. It's not advertised well. Our clients, your patients don't know this. So if you see somebody that's upset with their plan or wants to even shop again, have them call me because they can do that right now. Also, some messages that I would have is, I'm going out of order a little bit here, but as we're getting close to AEP, I'm going to start to talk to them, the offices. Okay, and the open enrollment period, annual election period is technically the term that we use. That's coming up soon. People can change their plans. If you can, I'll give you some extra cards. I'll give you a big old stack of cards, here's the fax forms as well. But please send folks my way if they have any questions. I just want to make sure they're happy with what they have. You can also talk about SEPs and talk about that. When you're in the middle months, maybe it's August or July. I don't know if you know this, Jill, but when people can change plans a lot during the year if they've got certain situations, if they're lower income, if they've got access in Medicare, or if they move even from county to county. So that's a good one. Okay, other things you can do with doctor offices is I always have, for my top officers, the ones most potential, in September, I also do a lunch and learn. And mostly it's just there to give them lunch and show my face and maybe talk to them for 10 minutes. And just talk to them about Medicare plans, talk to them about stuff that they don't understand or know, things that would help them, talk about enrollment periods, things that would help them understand their Medicare clients better. I also, really important key here, get the names, remember the names. You're gonna go to 100 offices, write them down, write the office. I actually have my office's names, the front office staff, the office manager. I've got that in a little list that I can sort. So I'm going in order when I'm going to my offices. And so keep a list of who you're seeing and their names and what you've done with them, what you talked to them about. Okay, so again, this educational is where he dropped off here, but give them an educational tidbit, something that helps them understand Medicare, helps, and maybe it's dental, vision, hearing. that's one I would talk about, sometime throughout the year. I don't know if you know this, but these plans offer many of them offer lots of dental, vision, hearing. The last visit here is basically, and you can use this anytime along the way, but it's a nice thing to say, but ask them if they've got any questions about Medicare. They might say, well, this billing code here and there, say, I don't understand that. I'm sorry. I don't understand pre-authorizations, things like that. But I can get some answers for you maybe. And you could connect them to somebody in one of the plans that they work with. And that would be gold. If you can kind of be an intermediary between them and a plan, that'd be fantastic. That'd really build some cred with you. But also let them know that you can give information. I'd love to be able to get a call from somebody who doesn't even need my help for changing a plan, but just has a question about Medicare. That burden shouldn't be on you, Jill. So if somebody's asking you a question, have them call me or fill out the form, the fax form, and just say, just basic question about Medicare. And that's fine. I'll call them and I'll answer the question. And just, help you out in that way. So you just want to be kind of the informative person to them and their patients. And I've got a list here of educational topics that you can talk about. There's plenty more. But here's another idea: as you build a relationship with your doctor's office during AEP, ask them if you can do a sit-in. Ask them if you can be there. Maybe it's AEP, maybe it's OEP. But ask them when the busiest, if they agree to it, basically you're just going to come and talk about Medicare with anybody that is coming through the office. You're not going to give a presentation. You're just going to have a little booth, maybe a little spin wheel, maybe give away some treats, some giveaways or whatever, and sit in the office and answer questions. You'll be surprised as you go into offices how many sales you'll get from people sitting there and listening to what you're telling the front office staff. I've had lots of those. And so just sitting there in office, and what you're going to want to do to be as effective at this is you're going to talk to the office manager or whoever's letting you do it and say, what's the busiest time of your week? What day, what time? What are the busiest times? It's a Tuesday morning. Okay, great. I'll come Tuesday morning. Is that okay? And when you go there, maybe take them some cinnamon rolls for the back, kind of butter them up and, or sugar them up, I guess is the right term. Anyway, that can be a great opportunity. Inside open enrollment, outside of open enrollment, you've got that built-in relationship. You're going to, by kind of giving them a treat or something like that, you're going to incentivize them to remind them that you're there. Okay. I think we've covered most of this. There's a few other things I think I've talked about. Let me ask if you have any questions. Well, we've gone a couple minutes over. I appreciate you hanging out. But what questions do you have? Let me go to the chat here, or Q&As. Okay, it looks like there aren't any questions. So again, you'll have access to this. I hope you've at least mentally taken some notes and might be starting to generate and think about this. Let me go with you. If you haven't gone and you want to have me kind of go and hold your hand, I'm happy to go with you and do that. Again, it's really not as complex as you think it is, but I really would encourage you to try this year. I didn't say this up front, but we had in 2020, our doctor referrals, our sales internally that were due to doctor referrals was about 25%, maybe 26. In 2021, it was 43%. Almost half of our sales were from doctor office referrals. That's a trend that's going to continue. So if you're not doing this and you want to grow your business, you really should. You really should add this because it's a personal contact. People are tired of, Medicare recipients are tired of the commercials. They're tired of phone solicitors. They're tired of that. They're tired of mailers even to some degree. But they're not tired of getting referrals from somebody they trust. the doctor's office. And the doctor's offices, if we follow this pattern, if you follow this pattern and are effective this and are having 100 doctor's offices that you're kind of churning periodically to make sure they're active, you're gonna be sitting on a gold mine right there. So again, I can't say enough about it. Thanks for your time. If you have other questions, please let me know, and I will get this to you shortly. And other than that, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon.